welcome back to my channel and welcome to another drugstore versus high-end. This video is going to be obviously eyeshadow palette related. So if you like these types of videos, dupe videos, drugstore versus high-end, some people have really creative names for it like dupe or don't, or people come up with really creative names. I am very boring and I just say drugstore versus high-end. But I have an entire playlist where I've compared brushes and eyeliners and eyebrow products and highlighters and contour palettes and blushes and just so many different things. So I will link that down below for you. But today I'm going to compare the NYX Dreamcatcher palette. Looks like this. I just recently bought this. I put it in an Ulta haul. If that video goes up before this, I will link it down below for you so you can see the rest of the stuff I bought at Ulta. But it looks like this. It is about $15. It's in the $15 price range. I've never ever used a NYX eyeshadow before, ever. So I don't even know what to expect from this. And then I'm comparing it to this right here. Everybody knows what this is. This is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. This is the first one. So they have two, actually they have three now. They have the Semi-Sweet palette and the Chocolate Bonbons palette. So this, and then the Peach palette, but chocolate wise. This is the original one. This is actually the original one. It's like the fatter version, like the OG round one. But anyways, it looks like this, yeah, and it has like the little plastic thing. That's how old this baby is. I love this palette. First of all, it smells like chocolate. Smells like chocolate, can't get over that. But the colors are just so beautiful. They're a little bit on the muted side. They're kind of like dusty, very wearable, everyday colors. But aside from that, like they're very blendable and they just, Too Faced is one of my favorites. So somebody told me that the NYX Dreamcatcher palettes are very similar to all of the chocolate bar palettes actually. So I was watching a Casey Holmes video where she was doing like an entire face of drugstore versus high-end, and she didn't have this one. She had the more blue toned one and she was comparing it to the Semi-Sweet palette. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna test it out myself and I'm gonna see. So yeah, I'm gonna do one full eye with drugstore and then one full eye with high-end. Okay, so before we get started applying them to my face, here's what they look like up close. So you can see there's lots of colors that seem to be very, very similar. So this palette has a pink right here, and the NYX palette has a pink right here. The chocolate bar has a purple, the NYX has a purple. Chocolate bar has like a mid-toned matte brown. I'm sorry, the NYX one has a mid-tone matte brown. Chocolate bar has a mid-tone matte brown. There's like this orangey color right here, orangey color right here. So there's lots of like very, very similar colors. You have like a matte highlight, a matte cream highlight. You have a matte shimmery highlight, a matte shimmery highlight. So it seems like the color palette is very similar. You have a lot of these matte mid-tone browns that match all the matte mid-tone browns in here. So color-wise, I think you can get a very similar eye look. Let's check out the formula. Okay, so first let's compare this golden color to the golden color in the chocolate bar palette. So I have them both on my fingers right now. So which one is which? This one is the NYX one. Let's swatch it. Oh, wow. That's really pigmented. I was not expecting that at all. That's really pretty. And then here's the Too Faced one. So of course, very pigmented, very pretty. The colors are very different though. They looked a lot more similar in the pan. I'm also gonna compare it to this right here, this like matte. This is a matte, whereas the NYX one is very shimmery. So they're not gonna be identical, unfortunately, but there we go. So you got some orangey-ish colors. Now I'm going to compare some of the matte browns. So I think I'm going to compare this color right here in the NYX palette, which is like a matte kind of mid-toned cool-ish brown, to this color right here in the Too Faced palette, which is a mid-toned cool-ish brown. So here is the Too Faced one. And here is the NYX one. Ooh. That might be the downfall of the NYX palette, is the matte colors, because that is not Well, there you go. I guess you can kind of layer them up. Those are pretty similar in color. I mean, there's a slight difference. This one's a little bit darker. That one, of course, is a little bit lighter, and I had to layer it twice. But I hope that the rest of the mattes in this palette are a lot better. Now let's compare the purples. So here's the purple of the NYX palette. It's kind of like a dark, like almost like midnight purple. There we go. Ooh. Ooh, that one was not good. Let me layer it up. Oof. It's lacking in pigmentation, that's for sure. Let's compare it to the purple of the, get a clean finger here, the Too Faced palette, which is right here. Yeah, those are very different. I mean, they're both purples. This one's a little bit more of like a brownish purple. That one's more of like a bluish purple. They both have a little bit of shimmer in them, so you can probably achieve a pretty similar look, but different for sure. Let's compare the pinks in the palette really quick. So here is the pink of the NYX palette. Ooh, these are really like, they kind of like chunk off when I swatch them. Maybe I'm too aggressive with my swatches. Here's the NYX one. It is very pigmented. That one's really pretty. It has like a pearlescent pink finish. The Too Faced palette actually has two pinks in it. So this is a pink and that is a pink. So I'm going to compare it to both of them. This one that I'm swatching right now is a matte pink, but it's a more like vibrant pink. So there it is. Can you even see that? Yeah, you can see that. Those are very different. I mean, it's matte compared to like a pearlescent finish, but they are pretty similar in color tone. And then this one is like a pearlescent pink. I don't think this is going to be similar at all. Let me put it right next to it. Yeah, that one's a lot more bright. I don't know if you can even tell. So here's the Too Faced, here's the NYX, and then here's the other Too Faced. So I think of the two, these two are more similar, but definitely not dupes, that's for sure. Now let's look at some of the darker colors and some of the lighter colors, and then we'll get to putting them on my eye. So I'm going to compare this dark matte brown in the NYX palette. Looks really pigmented, but it still has that chunky effect. Here we go. Ooh, ooh. See how it got really dark and then it started to like, I don't know about these mattes. They don't swatch very well. Okay, so there's that, and then I'm gonna compare it to this brown in the Too Faced palette, which actually feels a little like chalky feeling. So here's, I mean, the Too Faced one you can tell is a little bit darker. There we go. So you can tell that that swatch was a little bit more like smooth. And see how this one's like really patchy looking? The colors are very similar, but it's like patchy and unpigmented compared to dark, opaque, and smooth and pigmented. And then lastly, let's look at some highlight colors. So the color that I always use to highlight with in the Too Faced palette is right here, which is a matte cream color. The NYX palette has like a matte white cream and then like a shimmery, more similar cream color right there, see? So I think I'm gonna swatch them both just to see. They're both really pigmented. So there's that. There we go. This sparkly cream one is not very pigmented. The white one is very pigmented though. So there's those, and then let's compare it to the Too Faced one right here, which is really smooth. Going between the two of them is like, there we go. It actually, I think it's more similar to the sparkly one, but of course this is matte and this is sparkly. What I was trying to say is going between, like back and forth between the NYX palette and the Too Faced palette, I think some of the powders in this palette are really soft and creamy and like I can swatch it and I'm like, ooh, that feels soft. But most of them are kind of like rough and chalky and like scratchy feeling, whereas every single one of these, except for that one, which was weird, is really soft and really like buttery and smooth. So there's a pro and a con right away. Okay, let's get on to putting them on my eyes. So I've noticed that like although some of the colors are similar, the finishes are a little bit different. So this is gonna be very tricky and very interesting. So let's start out with an all over lid color. Let's do You know what? I didn't even compare these two colors when I swatched, but I really like this one right here. It's kind of like a satiny taupey brown. Ooh, it's actually really soft too. There's that. I think I'm going to compare it to this right here in the Too Faced palette. So they are actually pretty similar. Here's the swatches. This one's a little bit more of like a rose tone, rose gold, and that one's more of like a taupey brown, but I think those are the two I'm going to put for my all over lid colors. So for the Too Faced, let's do the left eye with the high end. And then we'll put NYX on the right side. Do you feel like I'm having to get more product with the Drugstore? Like more layers and more product? It doesn't quite apply as smoothly. Those actually, they look a little bit different. This one's definitely more like coppery, but there we go. Now I'm gonna do a crease color. So I think I'm gonna use this one in the NYX palette. Let's see. I'm using like a fluffy blender brush. This is a Sigma E35. Oh, that applies nicely. It is a little bit patchy, not quite as smooth as a Too Faced powder, but it's not terrible. Like, I can work with it. Okay, and then I'm gonna compare it to this one in the Too Faced. I feel like the Too Faced one is a little bit lighter. I don't want to say it's less pigmented, I just think the color in general is a little bit lighter. But I'm getting the same like effect on both eyes, you know what I mean? Okay, for outer V, I'm going to use the darker matte brown here. This is a Smith 230 brush. Oops, almost put it on the wrong side. This is the Drugstore side. That applies nicely, but I feel like it's like I put the product on and then it almost like disappeared. Did you see that? I mean, it's there, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. It's blending smoothly, but I'm afraid that it's like, it's completely blending away, if that makes sense. There isn't a whole lot of fallout. Well, there's a little bit of fallout. Okay, for Too Faced, I'm going to use that one right there, which I already know is going to be a lot more pigmented. So I'm going to go in with a light hand just to try to make them match. See how this one I don't have to continuously go back to the pan and gather more product? I just needed to dip into it once. Okay, I'm gonna buff both sides out with like a dense, this is the Morphe M517 brush, just to kind of blend it out a little bit. I feel like no matter how high quality or pigmented your eyeshadow is, it's always worth kind of blending just to make sure your lines are seamless and they look good. Both sides could fare a blending, that's for sure. However, I don't know if you can tell, but like this one, so this is the Drugstore side, right here where I stopped the color, I feel like it's not blending quite as well as on the Too Faced side. So it's a little bit more, like I don't even know if you can tell, but like right there, it doesn't quite like smoothly blend. Am I making sense? I'm not making sense. It's harder to blend, that's what I'll say. Now for a little bit of highlight. So I'm gonna use this color on the NYX palette and a big fluffy blender brush, and I'm just going to apply it. I feel like you can't see that at all. I feel like all this is doing is applying chunks of glitter to my eye, which I don't even know if that's picking up on camera, but I feel like all this did was put like chunks of glitter. You see it? I don't know if you can see it at all. There's no color to that. Or maybe it's just the exact same color as my skin tone. So this one is matte. There is no chunks of glitter, so I know I'm not gonna have that problem. This one you can't really see at all, but I do feel like it's blending the eyeshadow, the darker pigment, it's kind of blending it out a little bit more. I'm just gonna dust away some of those sparkles. Now for lower lash lines, so I'm going to go in to this color on the NYX palette, which is the same color I used for my all over lid color, and apply that to my lower lash line. And then same thing with Too Faced, same color. I feel like that definitely gives off the same effect, like on both eyes. It's just like a tiny bit of color. Yeah, very similar. So now back to the Smith brush and the darker colors. So, or do I want to use the crease color? No, I'm gonna just go for it and use the darker color. So this one on the NYX palette, and I'm gonna put that just right here. And then for the Too Faced palette, same that I used for the outer V. All right, so I'm done with the eyeshadow, and I'm looking at it in the mirror and on camera. I mean, they pretty much look exactly the same. I can tell that the high-end side is a little bit more like vibrant and pigmented, whereas the drugstore side is just a tiny bit more muted, especially that dark brown color. But other than that, I mean, you can barely tell the difference once it's on your eyes. If you wanted to go darker, there is a darker color in the NYX palette that I didn't use, that like black color right there. I think it is black. It kind of looks green on camera. Whereas the Too Faced palette doesn't have anything darker. That is the darkest color. So you could intensify it and make it a little bit darker if you wanted to, but on the eyes, you can't even tell. I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup. I'm gonna skip lashes today just so you can see the eyeshadow, and we'll see if you can really tell any difference at all once I have the liner and mascara on. Can we just take a minute to appreciate how long my natural lashes are? I mean, they don't look that long on camera, but they used to be like little tiny nubbins, and I've been using Latisse. Ooh, I feel like they're so long. Okay guys, so here is the finished makeup look. So for eyeliner, I use the Makeup Forever Aqua XL pencil, and I use that on the upper lash line and then my lower waterline. And then for mascara, I use the Benefit Roller Lash, no falsies. I just wanted to keep it kind of simple today. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm looking at myself on camera. Honestly, I feel like you can't tell the difference at all as far as like just the way that it looks. Like you can't tell that I use a different eyeshadow palette on this eye and that this one costs $15 and this one costs $50. Like you can't tell the difference when you just look at it. But as far as performance goes, so the pros of the Too Faced palette, you do get more color. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 eyeshadows in it, whereas this one has 10 eyeshadows in it, so you get 6 more eyeshadows. I think the color selection and variation is more in this palette, so you have everything from your purples and your pinks to your mattes. You have this really pretty like burgundy shimmery color here. So you have more variety, more selection. The formula of the Too Faced eyeshadows, I mean, honestly, it's like comparing apples to oranges. It's totally different. These are very soft, very blendable, whereas the NYX one is a little bit more chalky. I mean, there's some colors that are really nice and pigmented and blendable, but I feel like it's very hit or miss in this palette. So that's a con. It takes longer to blend and apply eyeshadows that are chalky and powdery. So that's that. I did also notice some fallout with the NYX on this side. I didn't have any fallout on the Too Faced side. So that's a good thing for the Too Faced, and then a bad thing for the NYX one. Also, the Too Faced palette smells really good. It smells like chocolate, which, I mean, that's obviously not a make or break thing, but it's just kind of a fun thing to have. So those are the positives of the Too Faced palette. The positives of the NYX palette is, dropped it on the floor. I feel like this packaging is a little bit more travel friendly, so that's nice. I also feel like it's a little bit more secure. I like how this clicks closed. The Too Faced one just has a magnet, so it kind of pops open, which is a little bit annoying. So more travel friendly, more secure. It's cheaper, which is great. It's $15. And I do feel like you can get a really pretty eye look out of this. Obviously, you can get a similar, almost exact look as you can with the Too Faced palette. So I think there's pros and cons to both. If I were to suggest one or recommend one, I'm going to recommend the Too Faced one. I think that the price is worth it as far as like hassle. If I had to sit and blend and blend and blend and clean up fallout, every day with the NYX palette, I would probably just not even bother fussing with it and skip eyeshadow altogether. Whereas this is just a little bit quicker for everyday use. So that's that. That's my thoughts. So let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section, and let me know what you want me to test out next. So I've done pretty much everything that you can think of, but there are some small things that I haven't tested yet. So I haven't done drugstore versus high-end mascara. I haven't done foundation. I haven't done highlighter. I haven't done bronzer. So let me know down below what you want to see next, and if you have any suggestions as far as like specific products, let me know, because I'm having a hard time finding a drugstore highlighter that I really like. I can't find the Wet n Wild ones anywhere, so that's off the table. So let me know, you know, like specifically what you want me to test. That would help me out a lot. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.